Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, presented by Cinematic Visions, and another great edition of Danny and Tim's Music Scene. We get together every couple of weeks and talk about music, past, present, and, well, kind of future. We actually got a little of that with artists legendary and not so legendary, and ticket prices, and the government trying to do something about it. And we always visit with big personalities, all from Paul Simon to Dolly Parton to Bill Walton, who just passed away, and we have some other more obscure people who have made an impact in music. There are lists to be cussed and discussed as well, and there's just all kinds of interesting stuff always going on. I went and saw the Mavericks again. It's an annual right now, and I don't go to all three shows, but my sister-in-law knows somebody who did. Tim knows somebody who was going to. People came from far and wide. The three shows were different from speaking to different people. But it was fantastic, maybe better than ever. Remarkable, and remarkable that Kansas City gets to experience that 3 times on a weekend. So, lots on our plate as usual. Let's get to it, because the expertise and enjoyment of speaking with Tim is palatable, and we will get to that wide palette coming up next on Danny and Tim's Music Scene, part of Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, presented by Cinematic Visions.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Visions' goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300.
Did you experience hail damage last year and never got the work done? Most insurance companies only give you a year to get the roof fixed, and if you don't get it done, you could possibly not be compensated in full for the replacement of your roof. If you've been procrastinating getting that damaged roof taken care of, give us a call at 913-257-5426, and we'll send out an expert to help you through the process. We're never pushy, we're just here to help. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
If you'd like to join these and other fine sponsors and market your business to Kansas City's #1 variety podcast, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to working with you. Welcome back, and let's start it up with a show I went to last Thursday, and that was the Mavericks. I think it's the 6th consecutive year for sure, and I think the 8th or 9th time that my wife and I have seen the Mavericks, and we usually pick the first show. It's the easiest to get the best tickets to on Thursday, as they play Thursday through Saturday. This time it was especially important to us to go Thursday because the guitarist Eddie Perez was not going to be there Saturday because he was going to attend he did attend his daughter's graduation. And it was a remarkable show, Tim, in the fact that the Mavericks have a new album out called Moon and Stars, and it is an excellent album and has, in another time and place, 4 or 5 songs that are surefire hit singles, but I don't know if that happens anymore. Anyway, to their courage and credit, Raul Malo and the boys, he walked out there and played 6 of the first 10 songs were off the new album, and they were good. And they're good songs, and I had heard them, so that was cool. And he didn't even say, hey, we're going to play a new one off our new album. He just played them. And the crowd liked them, you could tell, but you could tell that many of them hadn't heard the songs. And of course, that takes time out of the show. It was a brilliant show. They are tighter than ever. Their emphasis is maybe more on the horn section a little bit than guitarist Eddie Perez, but he still was his flamboyant self. And they did not play probably 3 or 4 of what would, by many of their fans, consider their favorite songs, including, I think, their best concert song, Come Unto Me, although most people think All You Do Is Bring Me Down is their best one. But anyway, those were on the cutting room floor, and it was still maybe the best show I ever saw. They continue to produce, and they're playing more Midland-style theaters now, or size theaters, but they deign us with the trio of shows at Knuckleheads, and it was a sensational night for me and my wife again, and for all the people who are there.
Yeah, I know someone who goes to, he sees them every time. I don't know if he goes to all three, but he goes to more than one. I think he was there Thursday and Saturday. Barely escaped the storm that came through. I guess I heard from people who, they said just as the show was ending, it got really scary there with the wind and picking up, so people bolted. But Thursday night, my friend Joe he posted something Friday that said, Raul said something about the dance floor at Knucklehead is like none other, or something to that effect. I couldn't find his comment, but I think they love it there, and they give, I guess if you go see all three shows, one going to be a little different from the other at least. And as far as new stuff goes, I've heard a little bit of it, but I mean, they just write good songs, and they write songs that are built to play live and sustain a mood, keep people moving and dancing, and so they really can't go wrong. And I think that working new stuff in, it takes a little while, but gradually those songs become favorites. Like Tom Petty, for example, of course, just every time he put out a new record, he eased it into his set list, and then before you know it, he had too many songs to play in one show. So yeah, no, they're just they're a fabulous live band. Never disappoint.
They don't, and actually the new album, there's a lot of co-writers, and there's a couple of guest performers who are female singers. That's cool. One of the songs was co-written with Bernie Taupin, as a matter of fact. And one of the songs that they did play, and is one that would easily, as I said, be a kind of a hit song, is a sort of a funky, sexy little tune that's called Live Close By and Visit Often. It's just about not wanting to live with his girlfriend, basically, and he's married, so it's obviously a fictional song. But anyway, it's a very funny song, and Live Close By, Visit Often, that'll work for me. So they were cool as usual. But in keeping with that, my guilty pleasure band, I always describe it, because they're not for everyone, is 38 Special. I think they're a fine band that wrote good songs back in the day, and now they pretty much just play the hits, which is fine. And I've only seen them a couple times through the years, but I got a notification, and it said 38 Specials in your area or whatever, so I checked it out, and they're playing Topeka, and I think it's July 25th at Stormont Vale is the sponsor of their arena there. It holds up to 4,000 seats. And so I figured, hey, I'll check it out. I go by myself. I'll have a good time. Don't have to bother anybody. My wife won't go. And so I looked at it, and I said, but I want to sit up close, and see him, because I saw him at a state fair once, and I was sat in the front row. I looked, and it was $120. 38 Special, 120 top, and then it dropped down to 95 and 80, and those tickets are selling. They're close to, maybe banging the place out. It's $30 to get in, but that's, nosebleed time. I have to admit, I'm a fan, but I'm shocked. I'm shocked that, a band like 38 Special can charge those prices and get them.
Yeah, I think there's just so little sticker shock anymore that $100 just seems like, yeah, okay.
Yep, that's what we pay.
I want to go, and I'm not going to miss it. I'll just not go to another show, or somehow make the budget work. But yeah, when it gets down to those the heritage bands, it's that's a little shocking. But I know there are other venues, like at Starlight, you can get in and sit in the back, and there's not a bad seat there. So if money is an object, you can still get a good seat for a reasonable ticket price. There's always $30, $40 tickets, but the closer you get, the steeper the price climbs, and it's it's going to be I don't know. You just keep wondering how much money is there out there to cover all these shows, because there are a lot. There's a lot going on this summer.
I agree, and
I mentioned,
the like in Knuckleheads, I mean, I get the best seat in the house. We always get it. It's only $85 for them and for the Mavericks, and they have so many shows that are like $35 to people that you recognize their names. So there are options in that regard. But that was just surprising to me. You're about to continue on.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, it's it's you're going to have to spend if you want a good seat to see someone you really like. I was telling you before
Right.
that Mike Campbell's band, the Dirty Knobs, coming
Right.
to the Kaufman Center in June 24th, and some of those you can get all the balcony seats are gone, but you can get the grand tiers, around $50, and then it goes up incrementally. But there are some here it says, according to their website, for $420. So
Wow.
you must really want to see them.
Yes, you do. And in conjunction with that,
the orchestra,
yeah, go ahead.
the orchestra pit. So you're going to be right there.
Right.
But I don't know.
Agreed.
I mean, if you go with somebody, you're dropping $1,000 at least.
Yeah, exactly. Now, supposedly, we're trying to get some maybe a handle on this a little bit, because part of the reason for this, for instance, the 38 Special show was that, it was a Ticketmaster thing that I was looking at, and they controlled the tickets for that. Even if you went on 38special.com or whatever, it's going to be Ticketmaster. And the Justice Department is suing Live Nation and Ticketmaster and saying that it's a monopoly and they want to break it up. And whether this will go anywhere, or a company that big is just too big to fail, or whatever, or their lawyers are too good, I don't know. But the Justice Department, obviously, politicians in reaction to constituents who are getting fed up with this, maybe this will help a little. I don't know. I have my doubts.
Well, I mean, you think about it, Live Nation does most of the shows. It controls a lot of the venues, and it owns Ticketmaster. I mean, how is that not?
Right.
It is if it's not a complete monopoly, it's 80%, 75%, because and they have their way. There's really no stopping them, and it's the consumers, the fans, people who have been spending money all their lives to see these acts are priced out of it, and it's it's something I didn't have to deal with when I was writing for the Star, because
right,
my tickets were paid for, and I just went on company credit card. I didn't even really notice, and then so now that we're buying tickets, and even to smaller shows, it's like, yeah, we're dropping 50, 60 each, after you pay all the fees, and then plus what else you pay after you get there. So it's expensive to go to shows, and that's why you were saying, talking about Knuckleheads and Record Bar and all the other. The Truman has pretty good prices too, although they're I'm pretty sure they're still managed by AEG, but that they seem to be reasonable. But you've got to look. You can find shows. It may not be your most favorite bands, but you can go and have a good time for a lot less than $400.
Well, that's why to consuming music in other ways becomes maybe imperative in some people's lives, or at least a decision that they're willing to get Amazon Prime or something so they can watch a documentary. And you recently watched the Paul Simon documentary, a hefty one of 3.5 hours, and he's a favorite of yours, and you were satisfied and more.
Yeah, it's a two-parter. It's 3.5 hours over 2 parts. It's called In Restless Dreams. It's about while he's recording his latest album. I don't know if it's going to be his last. It might be. 7 Psalms. It's a very austere. It's a very kind of somber, wistful, melancholic, retrospective. It's dealing with a lot of spiritual issues. Which, as this was happening, he lost hearing in his left ear, which became a big problem. And so he's dealing with that while he's making this record, and just also dealing with getting older. There's footage of him applying these, this little small vibrator onto his hands, because obviously they're dealing with some kind of, I don't know if it's arthritis, but some kind of pain that you get when you've been doing the same thing with your hands for 60 years. So just coming to grips with that. You see footage of him and his wife, Edie Brickell, and some really tender stuff. They're recording this down in this studio he built in outside of Austin, Texas. She's from down there, so it's this very pastoral and quiet, and they record part of it in a church. So the contemporary stuff is really interesting, and how much time and effort he's putting into this record. Wynton Marsalis is around.